3 days ago, you trained legs. Right now, you're still lowering yourself onto a chair like it's a survival challenge. Let me ask you something. Why is the muscle group that literally carries you through life the same one you avoid training the most? For years, you've been fed the same slogans. No pain, no gain. Squat or die. Never skip leg day. But what if the way most people train legs is the reason leg day feels so brutal in the first place? Because here's what the research shows. Traditional leg training creates extreme fatigue, excessive muscle damage, and long recovery times without delivering better results. When you descend into a heavy squat, you instinctively take a deep breath, hold it, and brace hard. That's called the Valsalva maneuver. During that single rep, pressure inside your abdomen skyrockets to levels far higher than normal. That pressure compresses the main vein responsible for returning blood to your heart. Less blood reaches the heart, less blood gets pumped to your brain. That's why after a heavy set, you feel lightheaded. That's why you see stars. And that's only the surface problem. Researchers wanted to know what squats actually do to muscle tissue, so they measured creatine kinase, a marker of muscle damage. Think of it as your body's internal warning signal. Normal levels sit comfortably within a low range. After heavy squatting, trained lifters showed damage levels many times higher than normal. Untrained lifters, even worse. What's shocking isn't just how high those numbers climb, it's when they peak. Not the next day, not even 2 days later. They peak 3 to 4 days after the workout, and it takes over a week for the body to fully recover. So let's recap. Leg day makes you dizzy, it produces massive muscle damage, recovery takes days, and yet most gyms still crown squats as the undisputed king of leg training. But the science doesn't agree. A large body of research shows something called the bilateral deficit. In simple terms, when both legs work together at the same time, each individual leg produces less force than if it worked alone. That means your legs are literally holding themselves back during traditional leg exercises. So you're dealing with extreme fatigue, extended recovery, and reduced force output all at the same time. Now here's where everything changes. Researchers tested heavy sled pushes and sled drags using loads around 75% of body weight. They measured the same muscle damage markers. The result? No spike, no lingering soreness, no multi-day recovery. Muscle activation was comparable to squats, but recovery happened in hours, not days. And there's another massive advantage. With sled work, the force is horizontal. There's no heavy load compressing your spine. Your lower back stays protected even under high effort. To do it properly, grab the sled handles with arms almost straight. Lean your body forward like you're about to sprint. Your weight stays over the balls of your feet, your heels barely touching the ground. You're not pushing with your arms, they're just connectors. Every step is a violent drive into the ground, 1 foot at a time. Think about crushing the floor beneath you. That leg drives the sled forward, then the next one takes over. Your core stays tight the entire time, not relaxed, not loose, braced like you're about to take a punch. If your arms burn, you're doing it wrong. If your lower back hurts, you're standing too upright. The weight should feel heavy. If you can jog with the sled, it's too light. You should move slowly, powerfully, like pushing a dead car off the road. Aim for 15 to 20 yards per push, 4 to 6 sets. Rest a couple of minutes between rounds. This can be done multiple times per week because recovery is fast. Now, what if you don't have a sled? That's not a problem. The first alternative is incline walking. Yes, walking, but not casually. When researchers measured muscle activation at steep inclines, glute activity skyrocketed. Quads and calves were forced to work against gravity every single step. The best part, there's almost no joint impact, no knee pain, no soreness that lingers for days. Set a treadmill to a steep incline or find a hill outdoors. Walk for 20 to 30 minutes at a pace where breathing is heavy but controlled. This can be done daily. The second option is high-resistance cycling. Track cyclists are known for massive quads, and many of them never squat. Research shows that slow, high-resistance cycling produces real muscle growth, even in older, non-athletic populations. Crank the resistance up high, pedal slowly. Each stroke should feel like pushing against weight. Go hard for 30 seconds, rest for 90 seconds. Repeat for about 10 rounds. Your legs will burn, but damage stays low and recovery stays fast. The final option is hill sprints. Incline walking activates muscle, sprinting recruits power. Hill sprints target fast twitch fibers, the ones responsible for strength and size, and they trigger powerful hormonal responses that walking never will. Find a steep hill, sprint hard for 10 to 15 seconds, walk back down. Repeat 6 to 8 times. You're done in 10 minutes. Now here's how to put it all together. Train legs 3 to 4 times per week, not once. Rotate heavy sled pushes or high-resistance cycling during the week. On the weekend, use incline walking or short hill sprints as active recovery or explosive work. Instead of destroying your legs once and waiting a week to recover, you stimulate growth multiple times with far less damage. That's how you train legs intelligently, not harder, smarter.